So aggravating factors. Florida statutes say what aggravating factors the state can use. We're limited in this case to 7 aggravating factors. So I'd like to go over them with you. First I'll give you a list and then I'll go into a little bit more detail. The first one, the defendant has been previously convicted of another capital felony or a felony involving the use or threat of violence to another person. So in this case, simultaneous convictions. So the defendant has pled guilty to 17 first-degree murders, a capital felony. So for each victim, the other 16 can be aggravating factors for that victim. And the 17 attempted first-degree murders of the 17 surviving victims, they're contemporaneous, but they can also be considered as previous convictions. So for each victim, there's 17 attempted first-degree murders that could be to aggravate the offense, right? And then, if you'll recall, on November the 13th, 2018, 10 months after the defendant was arrested for the murders, he attacked Sergeant Deputy Beltran in the jail. Remember that? Tried to take his taser. You saw the video, and if you want to see the video again, you can. You take it back to the jury room. How he ran up and attacked him, took his taser away, took his weapon away. So there's 3 convictions you can consider for that. Attempted aggravated battery of a law enforcement officer as 1. Battery on a law enforcement officer is 2. And taking means of protection from a law enforcement officer is 3. So for each victim, you have the 16 other capital murders, the 17 attempted first-degree murders, and the 3 offenses that I just mentioned involving the attack on Sergeant Beltran on November 13, 2018. Okay? So that's the first aggravated. Previously convicted of a prior capital felony or a felony by the use or threaten the use of force to another person. The second one is the defendant knowingly created a great risk of death to many persons. That speaks for itself. The third one is that the first-degree murder was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. The fourth one is the first-degree murder was cold, calculated, and premeditated. The next one is that the first-degree murder was committed to disrupt or hinder a lawful governmental function to which the functioning of the school. That a victim of the first-degree murder was an appointed public official. And in this case, you have Scott Beagle, who was a geography teacher for the school board, who was shot in front of his classroom, 1256. Christopher Hickson, who was the athletic director and a coach, and also a campus monitor. And Aaron Weiss, who was a coach and also a campus monitor. So the killing of a public official during the course of their public duties is applicable to those 3: Scott Beagle, Aaron Weiss, and Christopher Hickson. They were shot down during the course of their official duties. The other one is that during the course of a burglary. You say, what are you talking about? Well, when you enter somewhere where you have no permission, campus, to commit an offense, to it murder, that's a burglary. So there are 7 aggravating factors for you can consider. And remember, we talked about this, that it is not a counting process, it's a weighing process. And each one of the aggravators and each one of any mitigators, you're going to have to weight. Some are going to have no weight, some are going to have some weight, some are going to have middle weight, some are going to have a lot of weight, and some are going to have great weight. So it's a weighing process. It's not a counting process. So first, I'd like to talk about the first aggravating factor. The defendant was previously convicted of a capital felony or another felony involving threat or use of violence. As I said, let's just take Gina Montalvo or any one of the people who were murdered. The other murders of the other 16 can be used as aggravation of their murder. So Scott Beagle, 16. Meadow Pollock, 16. And you go down the line. So there's 16. And the 17 attempted first-degree murders of the victims who survived, like William Colton and Madeline Wilford, all those can be used, 17. And then the 3 felonies with Beltran. So they're like 36 felonies. So even though it's one aggravator previously convicted, you have to weigh each one of these aggravators. And some aggravators you're going to find way more than other aggravators. And this aggravator has 36. This is one heavy aggravating factor. 17 people were killed, 17 people were attempted to be killed, and the 3 felonies on Sergeant Beltran when the defendant was in jail. That is one heavy aggravating factor. The next one, that the defendant knowingly created a great risk of death to many persons during the homicide. Well, he murdered 17. He wounded another 17, and he was trying for more. So there's no question that that aggravating factor has been proven beyond a reasonable doubt, just like the first aggravating factor was proven beyond any reasonable doubt. And the third aggravator, the first-degree murder was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Cruel! It's like I said, it's unrelentlessly cruel, heinous, and atrocious. The people there, and you saw the video again, and I discussed it. The people were out in the opening. He went and finished them off. You saw him pointing, not casually either, aiming and killing the people out in the open. He was shooting the kids in the classroom that were hiding or attempting to hide. So you have Gina and Luke and Martin who were in front of 1215. You have Kara and Meadow hiding in the alcove in 1249. Joaquin Oliver in the men's restroom alcove. Peter Wang laying on the ground. And you have in 1216 Alex, trying to get up to hide. He got shot twice in the chest. Elena Petty and Alyssa Alfredef were hiding when they were shot down and killed. In 1214, you have Helena Ramsey and Nicholas Durrett, who were hiding when they were killed. They all knew what was going on, what was going to happen, what was happening here, the nature, the danger, the deadly nature of the situation. And Carmen Shentrup, who was shot in 1213, and the kids that are all running on the 3rd floor. Jamie Guttenberg running to the west stairwell to escape. Peter Wang running. Joaquin Oliver running. And Kara and Meadow hiding. Heinous, atrocious, or cruel beyond any reasonable doubt. The other one, was it cold, calculated, and premeditated? Well, we talked about that. This guy researched it. He even researched a high school shooting in Finland, Las Vegas, Virginia Tech, Columbine, Charlottesville, the McDonald's, Aurora, Las Vegas. He researched it. He planned it. We went over all the details. How long does it take a cop to respond to a school shooting? The bail schedule. How am I going to transport this? How am I going to transport that? Got to get a lot of ammunition. He fired 139 rounds, and he had plenty left. He had a 40 round that was fully loaded. He had 30 rounds that were fully loaded. Another 30 round that only had 29 rounds in it. So he was prepared. He went through, he did the research, he did the planning, and he carried it out. I submit to you that that aggravating factor of cold, calculated, and premeditated, highly premeditated, is proven beyond any reasonable doubt. The next one is to hinder or disrupt a school function. I'll eventually be able to say that. There's no question that's proven beyond a reasonable doubt. He went into to the campus in the 1200 building and was shooting every target he could find. And he definitely disrupted and hindered a governmental function, to wit, school functioning. And then the next one is that Scott Beagle and Aaron Weiss and Christopher Hickson were campus monitors and coaches. Christopher Hickson and Aaron Weiss, and Scott Beagle was a geography teacher working for the school board. They were appointed officials in the course of their duties, and they were shot down. So that aggravator is applicable to only them. And then the last one is that this was during the course of a burglary. It may sound unusual to you, but when someone enters a place without permission to commit a crime, it's a burglary. Okay? So there, the seven aggravating factors that I submit to you have been proven beyond a reasonable doubt and outweigh any mitigation about anything about the defendant's background or character. It's a weighing process. It's not a counting process. So I want to go over with you now some of and the defense can present anything, any mitigators that they think is relevant for you all to consider. So I'd like to go over some of them with you right now. And as you know, the defense stated, remember we're picking a jury, that mitigation is not a defense, mitigation is not an explanation, and mitigation is not justification. I agree with that.
Mr. Zach, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We have a few people that need you.